This isn't going to be the most popular campaign ship, and that's fine, but let me be the first to say that this thing can be super freaking fun, and I'll showcase just how fun with our very first game creeping up well past 200k. Yeah, the main armament is in the middle of the ship, meaning you cannot shoot off of your bow or stern, and let's face it, most of our player base is going to hate that, but there is a lot of other uniqueness that makes up for it. The powerful sap secondaries. No other ship in the game has these sort of firing angles. The front turrets are secondaries, and again, they are SAP, so they have really good penetration and high damage. You also have good concealment and an exhaust smoke generator, so yeah, we did a full secondary build. Well, kind of. Modules are one thing. And speaking of, we're actually using rudder in slot 2, which I almost never do. We always do prop, but because of the gun layout, you have to turn in and out a lot, and having that additional rudder shift is it's beneficial. But yes, not exactly full secondaries because the commanders don't allow for it. I didn't want to use a battleship commander just for Porcupine, which I would say you have to have Porcupine if you're going to call it a full secondary build. But anyways, I went with Membelli and basically a full agile build, and then on top of that, Von Hipper and Haruna. That buffs our secondary range out to 9.2 kilometers. Now, do you want to use the secondaries? I say yes, because you have 12 152s and 20 of the 90mm guns, and they're pretty saucy, they have a decent reload, and that range is not bad at all. The main guns didn't seem to suffer that much from not buffing into them, and again, there's just times when you simply cannot use them without showing broadside and getting yeeted. You have a large above the water citadel as well. Aside from the citadel, the armor is decent if you know what you're doing. The 25mm nose and stern, yeah, that's rough, but the deck and the side armor is 40mm, and you can shrug off any shell in the game if you are angled, and also you have spaced armor. Just protect that citadel because it is way above the waterline, and you'll be okay. On top of the armor, you have a pretty big HP pool, and with your 2 heals, you'll have the second best effective HP pool at tier 8, 86,000, just behind Kronstadt's 90,000 in first place. I started this match off in my usual camera view, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's because there is no turret on the front of the ship. This is definitely a unique one, that's for sure. I'm kind of digging the camo, though. Is there anything else with that sort of green in the game? Pretty cool. Anyways, we are going to use that HP pool early on with some boneheaded play, and honestly, it came down to indecision. I just couldn't decide what to do here, and you're going to see in the next 30 seconds some serious stupidity. I had taken like a week off from wowsl, and this was my very first game back and the very first game in the Angelo, and maybe it just took me a while to get warmed up. And I'm looking at this Russian ship there. I didn't read the patch notes or anything before playing, so I'm like, what is that? But apparently we got some rental ships this update. Okay, we're spotted immediately, so there is a DD in the cap heading towards us. We're going to drop torps for him. Try to turn out here, and the first ship I see, it's a BA Tirpitz. I never really respect a BA Tirpitz, and maybe you should because he just double citadeled us. Probably lucky, maybe, but still, when you do a game return in front of battleships, that is something that can happen. So we lost half of our HP early. Now, sometimes, if you have games that start that way, you're just like, what's the point? Let's just rush in and die. Well, this game should prove exactly why you shouldn't rush in and die. Because even though we're half health right now, we are going to win this one for our team. I don't want to say single-handedly, but, well... So yeah, never give up, and that is the theme of today's video, I would say. You can see the firing angles here. They're okay. In between enemy battleship salvos, it's easy to turn in and out, but the real wonderful thing about this ship is, of course, the exhaust smoke generator. It lasts for 40 seconds. Now, once again, don't be a bonehead. You need to be dark before you start turning back in, even though you're in smoke. So once again, we lost a lot of health, but hey, we're going to make up for it. We're going to make up for it. The other awesome thing about this ship is the smoke firing penalty, which is something you always have to pay attention to if you have a ship with large guns and you're firing from smoke. Let's say I was a Kronstadt and right now I fired my guns, I would be spotted because that ship has an 11-12 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Well, the Angelo here, it's 7.4 kilometers, so really, aside from the secondaries, That is this ship's gimmick, an insane smoke firing penalty, like an amazing smoke firing penalty, having the biggest cruiser guns at the tier. Yeah, bigger than Kronstadt's. These are 320 millimeter guns. It's actually, if they sound familiar, the audio, and if they look familiar, it's because they are Cesare guns from tier 4. Yes, you have tier 4 battleship guns, but that is fine. And you can see the hail of secondary fire right now. Pretty good. So 48 secondary hits right there, not too bad, and we pick up the close quarters expert. There is a suspicious looking smoke screen right over there, so we're going to turn in and head back towards him. We do have to be careful of Brandenburg secondaries because that is a dangerous secondary ship, and watch the middle turrets as we turn around here. They're in the middle, so yes, your firing angles are not good and you're going to fight with that, but the turrets are 360 degrees, so that makes it easy to switch back and forth. If you're kiting, if you're running away and you want to launch torps off the other side, well, your guns are going to be right there ready for you. So that is another really nice feature of this ship, and I'm grateful for our Soviet battleship there kind of taking some of the heat off of me since I've wasted so much of my HP. But check out these SAP secondaries. You know, if you're aiming superstructure or upper belt, even on heavily armored ships like battleships, you can chunk them pretty darn hard. There is a destroyer I've never seen before, don't know what the heck that is, but let's sail in there and see if we can kill it. These SAP secondaries and the SAP main batteries are deadly against destroyers. So yeah, this thing has a lot of teeth, honestly. And we haven't even shown the torpedoes yet, because they're pretty good. You might assume they're just Italian sea mines, but actually they go 72 knots, and that makes them the fastest cruiser torpedoes in the game. That was a bad RNG roll there. We should have smoked that guy, but you can see just a couple SAP secondary hits deals some pretty big damage to this DD. So destroyers have to give the Angelo a very, very wide berth. 9.2 kilometers. And if you're in there getting peppered by these in your DD with a small HP pool, yeah, it can make a pretty big difference. The torps also hit for 20k a piece, so it's like an Ibuki torpedo. They hit very, very hard. 3 on each side, so closing the distance with something and having a 60k alpha strike, that is pretty nice for the torpedoes. The big selling point though, aside from the SAP secondaries, the SAP main battery guns, they hit really, really hard. So 9,500 damage a piece for each SAP shell. That is more than Kronstadt's AP, Carnot, or a Gears. So the other supercruisers at the tier, they have to use their AP to get those kind of salvos. Well, the Angelo can do it with SAP and these amazing pin angles and from, you know, any distance in the game, not worrying about, you know, angles or shattering or things like that. I mean, they're still going to shatter, but they're just very good, and we just led that shot there wrong on the mines. We got his turret though, so. Okay, the next salvo on the mines, because anytime I see a mines, I'm going to shoot it. More than a Yudachi, like the mines, the Azerlane ship I have most hated ships in the game. But we're gonna chunk him pretty good right here. And yeah, these shells are good against cruisers. I should have used the AP a little more because the AP is also very nice. It has high alpha and a lot of penetration because these are Italian shells, and they have high shell velocity. So really the guns on this ship, even though it seems like you're at a massive disadvantage just because of where they're located on the ship, once you play her a little bit and you use the smoke and you use your agility to move around, it's really not that big of a handicap, I didn't think. Unfortunately, the AA is kind of garbage. DPS at 324, that's average, but it only has a 4 kilometer range, so really not very good. You're probably going to have to stay next to your allies or just hide. Luckily, it still seems that there isn't a big population of legendary tier carriers. I don't know, is that just me? It doesn't seem like I ever run into legendary carriers. And hey, I'm not complaining, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. For a huge cruiser like this, you don't have a lot of AA protection. So our two DDs here, they are kind of running for their lives, so I'm going to come up this way and support them. This time we're going to be smart and smoke a little bit early, and you notice I was spotted, so that tells me the DD is up here in front of their Angelo. But we're going to use our smoke, and we're going to try to dump torpedoes and just let the SAP secondaries kind of chew this guy up a little bit, and that is a good strategy to use for this cruiser, because really these things can deal a ton of damage. Now we are going to fire our gun here, but that's okay. I think, do we fire? I think I want the kill. No, okay, I'm patient, fine, that's cool. Maybe I'm actually being smart. Usually I'm just a, you know, a boneheaded Xbox player and I want kills. But I think he's going to die to the secondaries here, or at least one of our teammates. And hopefully their DD gets picked up by our destroyer and we can try to shoot at him. This match is pretty close in terms of ships, but they are way up on points. They have done a lot better job of getting caps and contesting caps. So we have our work cut out for us with 6 minutes left. It's probably going to come down to killing all of them, and that is on the back of my mind here. Now Velos pops up, he's slamming on the brakes, so we're going to aim up a little bit, and you can see the accuracy on the guns is actually pretty darn good for being Italian. So that is one good thing about it. I'm not sure what the Sigma is, but they felt very consistent, and I felt like I was getting good salvos, and we're going to get a good one on the Constellation here. Constellation is such a soft target, and anytime you see one in the open water, it is just HP sitting there waiting to be taken. So we're going to take some. It's 4v4 now, their DD is dead. We have one DD left, so that is a huge advantage, but really it's going to come down to us killing the Constellation, the Carl, the Bismarck, and the mines, because they just have way too many points. Now the handling of this ship, it doesn't really feel Italian. If you play the Napoli, you know that ship is super, super fast. Well, the Angelo, 33.5 knots in a straight line, that's not that fast, and the turning circle is rather large. So she's not that agile of a boat. You kind of have to get used to it, but I will say the rudder shift in our game versus PC, it's a massive buff. So on PC, this ship has a 14-second rudder shift time. Ours got buffed down to 10.8, I think. And that's actually pretty good for a ship this size. You know what ship in our game has a 14-second rudder shift? Carno. Oh, the poor Carno. So yeah, Angelo at least has that going for her, but she's really not a very agile or maneuverable ship. Carl Johan found the AP button. So yeah, there's that. Constellation goes down. So again, we have a Bismarck in the middle, a Mines, and the Carl. And I'm kind of hoping our DD was just going to yeet the Carl Johan, but it hasn't happened yet. So we're in a little bit of a pickle here. Anchorage isn't going to be able to spot for us. So if we use our smoke here to farm the Bismarck and try to use our secondaries, he's not going to be spotted. The only thing that we can hope for is him firing his guns, and with his smoke firing penalty, he'll be spotted. So that's what we're going to try to do here. I'm not sure where the mines is, so we do have to be careful of that. But that was a pretty good salvo. Shooting at Bismarck superstructure, always good. Always a good time. There's the mines, and between them there is just too much damage. They can deal way too much damage to me, so we are going to have to smoke. And we will hope that the Bismarck stays spotted for a little bit. You can see the SAP secondaries on the front of the ship, and that is one of the cool things about having front-mounted secondaries like that. But yeah, Bismarck, there it is. He fires his guns, so we get to keep farming him, and we actually loaded the AP now, so we can test that out on a battleship. And with the 72-knot torpedoes, they should get there right as this guy is turning out and hopefully catch him. There's the AP salvo, almost 12k. That is pretty chunky. That is nice. So hopefully he dies with the torpedoes, and then we're going to have to kill the mines before worrying about the Carl, because it looks like the Carl has just sailed past our destroyer. So yeah, it's up to us. And Mines really isn't a ship that you ever want to brawl with. It just has crazy DPM, even if it shot the front guns only. Bismarck kills our anchorage. That is unfortunate, but we're going to let the SAP secondaries chew this Mines up here. And, you know, he's smart enough not to turn out and give broadside, so good on him. So we're going to load the SAP here in the main barrels, and hopefully we can deal a pretty devastating salvo here. The SAP's doing a pretty good job against him, though, honestly. I mean, decent damage, 314, 314, 314. Those are all from the 90mm guns, and when the big ones open up, they deal a lot of damage, too. But that salvo right there is probably the nail in the coffin for the mines, and we're going to go ahead and start bow tanking the Carl Johan. Anchorage gets the Bismarck with a flesh wound. That was huge. That play by the Anchorage there was honestly a game winner, so good job. And here we go, 11k health against a full health Carl. Carl should have absolutely turned out. Well, he with 900 points, like, he shouldn't be over here to begin with, but it is what it is. He should have turned out and launched all the torpedoes on one side, but he's not doing that, and we have a DD still alive, so that means, yeah, we're gonna ram. We're just gonna ram. He's the last ship alive. They have 920 points. Yeah, this is the play, and this is the way. So GG's to everyone involved. That is going to push us up to 211k, and honestly, I was really enjoying the Michelangelo. I think it's a unique experience and rather fun. Let me know what you guys think of her down below. I would love to hear from you. This is Derka signing off. See ya.